Race 4 of the BMW IBSF four-man bobsleigh World Cup. We're in Winterberg in Germany, and it's beginning to look a lot like Christmas. The weather outside is frightful, though. We've got one heat to go this weekend in the four-man competition. I'm Martin Haven, alongside me John Morgan, and John, we're inside in the warm and the dry, and that is the place to be.
Yeah, in the first heat, it was not snowing so bad early in the competition. Francisco Frederick, our world champion, who's had a little bit of a slump going on so far, had a little funny exit of the zero curve up top, couldn't take advantage of a good start time, a good velocity, and he finds himself in a bronze medal position. On the podium yesterday in the two-man for the first time, he was. And here's Nico Walter. He's the only guy who's won a two-man and a four-man race. And he lost the world championships on this track in 2015 by 0.02 of a second. Today he's in second, just like he was last year in this race, where he finished second. And something else is the same. This guy, Johannes Lochner, he won this event last year, his first victory in four-man, and he came out with the second best start time, great velocity down the track. He's trying to make amends for a disastrous two-man event yesterday where he hit the wall before curve zero at the start both times. And Johannes Lochner in the same position he was a year ago.
Only one man has claimed a medal in four-man in the last 3 years, and it's the man lying in second place. Johannes Lochner, as you said, won last year. Francesco Friedrich 2 years ago. It was Max Arndt that beat Nico Walter into the silver in the World Championships 3 years ago. But all three Germans clearly had a good first run, but they did get the benefit of the weather. Some of those further down, outside the top 20, definitely snow-affected running. Fastest 20 go through into our second and deciding heat, and that is going to be a tough one to deal with. It is blowing hard, it is snowing hard, and we had the men's skeleton race delayed and then eventually called off. The second heat didn't go Friday afternoon, and it was a one-heat race declared on the results of the first heat. They can do that here again. The hope is that at the very least the wind will drop a little. You can see right outside the start area, this new start area built to hold the World Championships a few years ago, and that sort of elongated the start, and that's why we've got the little curve zero before turn one. Under cover, everything pretty much away from the snow, but as you can see, that's under the big roof with the building above it, and the snow's still getting in. It blows straight up the hill here into the faces of the athletes, and there's a lot
look
of
at the crowd.
sweeping. Yeah,
look at the crowd. I mean, I think these people come out here no matter what. I mean, of course, we're in the Dutch Alps, so there's a lot of Dutch and Belgium and people here. And here's our start list. Same guy starts off the race today as they did yesterday in the second run.
Yeah, Nick Cunningham, 20th in the first heat, just made the cut. Maxim Anjanov, Maciej Lucia, Poland. There's a few new names because we're getting the smaller European nations joining in who didn't race in North America. You can see just in the bottom of the picture, one of our forerunners coming off the track, local sliders from HSK Winterberg. And we are ready to go. Our race starter on the left, and it is Nick Cunningham, Hakeem Abdul-Sabur, Chris Kinney, and Sam Michener for the USA.
60-second start clock, and within 3 seconds they were off.
Oh!
This is going to happen a lot.
Well, in our entry to the sled, snow in the spikes is the last thing you need. You slide off the bunks. Now, I think that was Hakeem Abdul-Sabur who lost his footing.
Won't be the last guy, I bet you, in this run, because it's slick down there. I mean, and plus the athletes are cautious.
Well, he's actually sitting upright in the sled. You can see his head. Sometimes all they can do is to drag the man in onto the floor of the sled, and his teammates have to sit on him. You think, okay, right, well, that's all right. But when there's 4 or 5 times their body weight pushing down, that can be really, really unfortunate.
And the other thing is, Cunningham didn't drive this sled all week long. This is his second trip with it because it got stuck in U.S. Customs in L.A., and the whole U.S. team didn't have their sleds except for Cody Basque.
And don't forget, Cunningham wasn't here last year, so it starts with a disaster and it ends with a disaster, but he does finish 55.76, 0.6 of a second slower than their first heat.
Yesterday we saw the same thing happen to Mariana Yamanka of the German team. She finished third in the race.
You can see
she crashed on the finish line. She doesn't affect you. You crash right there on the electric eye. So Hope everybody gets up here. But, you know, again, in defense of Nick Cunningham and his team, this is the first 2 trips they've had in practice on this sled.
You can see how covered in snow they are. It's absolutely, you know, half ankle deep in there, deeper than that.
And then this is going to delay up top. Now look at the, see all the...
Yeah, Abdul Sabur slips there on the bunk. Now, how does he get in? Look, he's only got one hand. Look at the armor.
Look at the strength he's got.
Look at the logo on his hand.
I mean, a lot of people would just give up. A lot of people would just give up. So
how did he get
give him some credit for staying with it.
Down? Or were they lying on him?
Well, you know, it's all about points too, and this is the USA finishes here no matter what in 20th ahead of at least one Russian sled. So it's all about points to try and get 3 sleds into the Olympic Games. Look at the visibility. Now the jury will also start to take a look at visibility, and you know, they're going to ask Cunningham. They're going to be looking at the concussion protocol, but they're going to also start asking about visibility. But we see this happen in Winterberg in the finish corner all the time.
In good conditions, yeah. Because you hang it out in the final corner for maximum speed, and you don't want to steer the sled off the turn more than you have to. And it is a tiny judgment call. Well, there is Nick Cunningham.
Boise State.
He looks pretty beat up as well.
Well,
I'm really hoping that Hakeem Abdul Sabur was sitting in the sled and not lying with his teammates on him, because, boy, see that our race.
Look at the guy waving up there.
Started going, okay, guys, get out of the way. They're sweeping all the time.
Friedrich is his name, former member of the German Olympic team, bobsled team, couple Olympics maybe.
Yeah, slid with Thomas Florschutz.
Now this is a race within a race. The Russians are trying to advance. They've 3 sleds. The top 3 countries in points in this discipline will send 3 sleds to the Olympics. And it's Canada and Germany are already pretty well locked in. It's between Russia and the United States who gets that 3rd sled.
Well, we wouldn't be ski jumping in this weather. We wouldn't be skiing in this weather either. But the bobsledders.
Well, you get some slalom action in this weather. Let's see if the Russians can get down on a conservative start.
Okay, well, he's in the green over Cunningham. Start I did 5:27. So 5:19 in the first heat. They were being cautious, weren't they?
Yeah, but he's got a big lead that's related to this velocity. Of course, Cunningham's guy is dragging him down on the first curve, and that doesn't have a lot to do with assisting your time.
And all of that pulling on the sled to get yourself back in, that takes energy out of the sled.
Speed there, again, the snow going to play havoc with some of our timing clocks. 100.9 is a kilometer down to where he was.
A little quicker than Cunningham, 62.7. Cunningham was 62.5 at that spot. 83 and change across the line. So Maxim Angel.
4 guys, good to see them in the leader's box like that, eh? Hang in there, guys. Tough week for the U.S. guys not having their sleds until the night before the race.
And with their sleds, no helmets, no spikes, no race suits, no training suits, no clothes.
No clothes. They wore the same clothes around for 4 days.
They borrowed everything.
Great sportsmanship from the rest of the bobsled community to give them sleds, helmets, runners. Unbelievable. Yeah. Back of the sled here into the Kreisel. Look at the runner marks. Now you're going to see that, and then this is down on the 82-mile-an-hour section of the track.
That's not bad.
12, 13. This track is 40 years old. They weren't going 83, 84 miles an hour 40 years ago down there.
Not on purpose. Next up is Poland's Maciej Sluty. Welcome back to the World Cup to the Polish team.
Let's see, they went pretty quick as soon as that start clock turned green.
Yeah, no one's going to be hanging around.
5:24, boy, he really got in. Look at the skid. You get in there in that corner late. I call it's a 0 curve because they put that in about 10 years ago, 8 years ago, and I call it the hassle curve because it's such a challenge for everybody that comes down.
Now, he was 100th ahead of Maxim Anjanov after the first run. He's 100th ahead of Maxim Anjanov now.
Speed, 100, that's a better entrance into the Kreisel. See if he gets rewarded. 96-watt speed. No, there's no speed clock there.
But he's still 100th in front.
100.8, that's better speed by half a kilometer.
It's going to be very close at the line between Anjanov and Maciej Sluty, Poland, who's wild. Can he hang on to the speed to the line? I think he's going to be just behind. Slips one.
So the Andrianov, Janins Minins, the coach to the left, doesn't like that result.
Well, he manages to get down. And the Polish guys always say, can we just shout out Agnieszka Borowska, a friend and former colleague of theirs. And I'm sure she'll be watching the action as well. And in fact, Nick Cunningham borrowed a Polish four-man sled for training, which he said he loved.
Well, watch these pictures. You have to get in, get down before this curve. He goes into the right side. Yeah. Oh, he taps. That was it. And then he goes into the middle of the curve. Then down here, this is, look at the head snapping left to right.
Yeah. He hit the curve and then hauled it down, and then it went straight back up again.
That's where he lost a lot of speed on the bottom.
Yeah. Switzerland's Clemens Brascher was the sensation of yesterday's two-man race. His first ever World Cup start in two-man, he won it. This is his second ever World Cup start in a four-man sled. Brascher 17th after the first heat, 300s between him and Anjanov. We're in a really, really tight group of sleds here.
5:23 in the first run, 5:28 in the second run, and the speed 62.6. That start speed has a lot to do with your success. One thing is to have the best start time, but it's even better to have a better velocity, and that's how the athletes enter the sled.
We had a three-way tie for 13th, and between them and 19th, Anjanov was 1600ths of a second. So there's going to be a lot of changes in this group of sleds.
Shuffling up a deck of cards.
200ths the lead, out to 5.
That's decent speed, though.
So he's now opened up a slight advantage, adding to his first heat. Oh, that's rough.
So enough, it's going to be enough, though, to maintain his position.
Yep, and he'll pull away.
55.41.
That's 700ths quicker than Anjanov, so he ends up a 10th in front, and that might be enough to move him up 3, 4, 5 spots.
3,500ths better. Worse than his first run, but that's relative to the snow.
Yeah, and the wind and the everything. 5:28 start, so the 5:23 in the first heat, they're only 500 slower. Pretty rocky at the end of the labyrinth, Clemens, but he got away with it.
Look at the heads, the aerodynamic profile. That's the entrance and exit of the curves that causes the heads to snap left to right. And well, down there, that's a hard hit in the front of that bunk, and I bet you the sled goes airborne. Look at the way it goes left to right here. Look at these picks. That's 80 miles an hour.
Yep.
Plus.
Clemens Brascher has the lead for Switzerland. First 4 sleds down. 16th place after the first heat, Brad Hall of Great Britain. He was a medal winner in the four-man competition in Park City, took a bronze in the second race of the season.
The snow now. I wonder if they'll be conservative here, or just go for boy. The guy on the right ran a long ways.
They're going for broke. 5:13 start. They started 5:09 in the first heat, so there's the wind effect that goes with the snow.
63.4 speed is pretty good. That's 39.4 miles an hour. That's the start velocity.
Now, he had 100th in hand over Clemens Brascher. It wasn't the greatest of tries from Brad Hall down, or at least the back of the sled didn't want to follow the front. And I wonder whether it's going to be a little better this time with more snow on the straights. So maybe he had...
He's got number one numbers on.
Oh, look at this. 3,500s. He was 100th in front of Clemens Brascher from the first heat.
This is excellent.
Now, this is what he needed in Heat 1.
He won a World Cup medal a couple weeks ago in Park City. His first ever medal, first ever podium.
He's going to be 3/10 clear, 2,600s at the line, 55.16.
He's only 1,100s off his first heat time. That's pretty good.
That's a really good run.
Previous sled down, 3/4 off.
When the first heat, 55.16, wouldn't have made the race, but this is not the first heat. It was a bit better, Brad.
We agree. Tap in, look at the runner lines. You know, there's 9, or that's curve up, curve 5. Now look at this. Transition. A little bit of a skid there. Heads. Pretty good alignment there.
Brad Hall of Great Britain leads 5 sleds down in the second heat in Winterberg. Three-way tie for 13 after the first heat. Simone Bertazzo tied with Loic Kosderg and Nick Polagnato. The Italian was one of the last out of the start shed. He was in the snow in the first heat. He's in the snow in the second.
Boy, did he find some time on the bottom with this deficient start time and speed, and the team wasn't settled going around the first curve, but he was a rocket from curve 9 down. And 23, 22, 21, then all of a sudden he jumped into 13th place. That's experience, and this is one of the most experienced drivers in the field.
And he's going to need it because he's gone from 1400s behind at the start to 3300s back.
Well, that's relative to the start time.
Yeah, but there's a 2600s gap between first and second right now, and he's falling into that hole.
He's had trouble just making the cut in the first part of the year here, so he's coming back, 2200s.
A little rocky, but there's not enough track left for him to take the lead. He will be in second spot.
55-29.
Got close, didn't he?
Yeah.
Crikey.
Well, the start.
What does he do in the labyrinth that nobody else is doing? Well, the answer is he doesn't steer a lot.
Well, it's called the decade of sliding here at this track. You know, bronze medalist at the World Championships 2007. He'll be his 4th of games coming up here.
Yep.
Veteran of the Italian team. His father, Joey, used to slide. And this is, look at the curve 1. It's not curve 1, it's curve 0.
Yep.
Curve 1's coming up, but that's what the addition they made to the track. That is, I call it the hassle curve. And here, back end transition, not bad.
So snow continues to fall. We're a third of the way through our tie for 13 spots. Simone Bertazzo has slipped 1. What about Loic Kosderg, the Frenchman, with a phenomenal result last time out in 6th position in the race in Whistler. And they had hoped they might stand a chance of getting into the top 10 there. They would be beside themselves with delight. They're going to try and do the same again here.
Oh, I think they hit before curve 1.
They did. They had an untidy load the first time as well, didn't they?
62.6. That's almost a kilometer down in velocity to the British down below.
Yeah. Half a mile an hour.
But Kosderg was the same situation in the first run, and he, like Bertazzo, found quite a bit of speed on the bottom and put himself up in the top 15 place.
2700s back. Don't forget Simone Bertazzo got out to 33 and came back to 1200s away from Brad Hall. Let's see what the French can do.
He's second all the way. He's coming back 2500s down. That's good speed there, but he's going to run out of track. Brad Hall's going to get somebody else.
Yeah, he's ahead of Bertazzo at the moment. 1600s. This is going to be close though. And at the line, 800s back.
So the British is Bruno Major.
Yeah.
Max Robert on the right. Those two won an Olympic bronze medal in 4-man. 98. They've been leading up this program here for the French for a decade.
Brad Hall with the fastest start and the fastest downtime so far. And as we said, the sled's so close together in this group.
Now watching the left side, see, look at their hit. Look how close the people get to the action, but you can see them, they hit the wall.
Yeah.
That's, you know, that's that hassle curve. Before this, they put that curve in. It was just a long straight into one, and everybody could run as long as you want, get in. Not anymore.
Nick Polagnato of Canada, 7th starter in the field.
Look at them.
In the first heat.
Look, they're waiting for the green light. They're waiting.
Yeah.
As soon as the light goes green, they're going to go. Look at this. Go. See? Look at that. Usually they take 10, 15, 20 seconds before they go. That's great coaching. And
2 or 3 times we had a problem with the light coming on yesterday and Friday, and it happened again today. In fact, it happened to Nick Polagnato yesterday, didn't it?
63 flat. Again, that's a half a kilometer down to the British velocity.
5:12, they outstarted the Brits in terms of speed. 1100s back, though. Don't forget, 100th behind Polagnato in the 3-way tie after Heat 1 was Brad Hall. He's 1800s up on Polagnato at the moment. But the Canadian sled in 2-man and 4-man, they've all found speed at the bottom of the track.
Yeah, Nick lost a lot of speed in the bottom part of the track in the first run, and now it's a question of there's only 1200 separating
2300.
So
He's coming back a little, but he's going to drop behind this tie. Fourth at the line.
Spots. The Brits have moved up. Again, they medaled in Park City. Brad Hall did, so doesn't surprise me that much that they're moving up like this. And of course, there's a little bit more snow accumulating in the track.
And with, you know, the more it snows and blows at the top, the better it is for anyone who's already had their run. Polonyato annoyed with himself there.
You know, get in, get down, and this, you know, you want to shoot into there straight. Look at the skid. He doesn't have the, tries to steer around and catches the back half of the curve. That causes the tap, and then that skid. Same thing Francisco Friedrich did in the first round that cost him a lot of time.
12 sleds to go. We get to the first of our Latvians. This is Oskars Melbardis. Damas Dreskins in the sled as well. Didn't do the two-man race. Half a second off the lead, and they had 1900ths of a second over Brad Hall from the first heat. This may well be where the British run up the ladder comes to a shuddering halt.
Now look, everybody's coming, all the drivers are coming up front, not running off the back block, because it's probably more of a conservative.
Well, Melbardis is always a front handle starter. He's just such a beast. He doesn't need the run to get the power into it.
63 what? 63.2. That's not that great a velocity. The British had 0.3 of a kilometer better, even though that. Well, there was probably, you know, it was a 300 slower start too, though.
Gaps coming down from 1700s to 1300s.
13 to 13. Oh, big skid there, though.
Yeah, you saw it kick up the snow.
This is Melbardis, the former world champion and the silver medalist from the Sochi Olympics.
1200s. Bronze medalist in the World Championships here 3 years ago.
No, it's 17. Should have enough here in the bank. 134. Let's see it.
And he'll be 1700s, 2/10 ahead of the line.
7 miles an hour. 55.15, which is, that's 0.3 slower than his first run.
Well, that run was 100th quicker than Brad Hall managed on the second heat. So his first heat advantage definitely served him well there. Melbardis 10th out of the start shed, Brad Hall 16th. Melbardis had the better ice conditions in heat one and the better drive.
Watch this skid. It's hard to get these four-mans into skids, but when they do, and this is curve 9, really this 78-mile-an-hour speeds there, and then you get into the 82, 83, 84 down on the bottom.
See all the snow in the track. Looking at the way Brad Hall's sled handled in the first heat, I think he was one of a number who went for snow runners when there wasn't any snow in the track. Next up, Rico Peter, Alex Baumann, Seaman Friedli, Thomas Amrine, 11th place, 200s out of the top 10.
Second World Cup points last year, even with a 14th finish here in the Winterberg race.
Yeah, horrible race for him that was. Look at the snow, how deep it is now.
63 flat. Again, you know, I think it's going to be tough for people to get above that 63 and change that the British had, because they went early before the snow drift started to come in.
7th place in the four-man in Whistler. He was in 15th place in the 14th in the first race in Park City. Missed the cut in the second race in Park City.
That was very perplexing.
Yeah, not least for him. 700s behind.
Speed 101.8 is good
Here
speed.
he comes.
He could catch him on the bottom with perfect lines.
Gonna have to be clean.
The guy we call Rico Peter, the reckless driver's down to 100th. Great speed here. He's going to do it.
Is he going to lead Oskars Melbardis? He does by 800s. That's the fastest run of the heat so far.
Well, you know, good drivers get rewarded on the bottom part of this track. You really have to negotiate these tight, quick turns, 10, 11, 12, 13. But if you do it without change of direction, you will be rewarded with some picking up some time and some speed. That's what he did. This is into the Kreisel. That was pretty quiet. That's one of the better taps on the right-hand wall, a little bit, but not, you know, it didn't cause a skid.
See how narrow the track is? Trying to push the sled up. You've got to be careful with your feet or you'll fall over. Rico Peter leads, 10 down, 10 to go. Race 4 of the BMW IBSF four-man bobsleigh World Cup at Winterberg. It's snowier than a snowy thing and blowier than a blowy thing as we are halfway through the deciding heat of the four-man race in Winterberg, Germany. Cody Basque in a sled that he did have for training this week in the top 10.
The night train 2 that Stephen Holcomb drove at the Olympics in 14, 5:13, best start of the heat, 63.2 velocity. Not what the British had with a slower start, but still one of the best. Boy, there's 3 or 4 sleds right behind him and in front of him that are pretty close. Good run here, and Cody could move himself up to maybe his best finish ever on this track.
200s ahead of Rico Peter from the first heat. The gap's out to 12, out to 13 at the Kreisel, the midway point.
101.7 or 8 speed here, 101.2. That's a little bit down, and the mark is coming back.
Yeah.
To 10.
Rico Peter was quick and clean in the labyrinth. Here we go, barreling through.
Down to 4, speed. Oh, it's going to be right to the 100th.
83.0, Rico Peter 83.5, and he's 300s behind. So Rico Peter is in the top 10. Not that that's going to improve his mood an awful lot.
So that snow accumulating the track, the sleds don't come up to the finish.
Yeah. Well, the driver is used to rocking off the final corner and pulling on the brakes. You barely need to apply the brakes. You really feather them up this track.
Cody just lost it on the bottom. You know, did he lose it, or did Rico Peter just have the perfect lines? This is up above Kreisel. Very similar line to Rico Peter.
Yeah, you can see because Rico's runner marks were there in the snow and Cody followed them pretty much to the millimeter.
I'll still, it might be his personal best on this track.
I think you're probably right. Next up, Lamin Dean, personal best for him in the World Cup in four-man came in Whistler. Silver medal behind Alexander Kazyanov of Russia. It was a good trip to North America for British bobsledding. The girls, the two-man, the four-man, all were firing well. So, Lamin Dean with the boys.
Look at the snow coming in now. Yeah. They went pretty quick, but not as quick as some of the other teams. Lamin coming off the back start block.
Yeah, he likes to come from the block, get himself a run up at the handle.
He's got it.
And in they go, 5:11 getaway. That's really
63
good.
63 what? 63.2, similar to the Americans, even though the Americans...
39.2 miles an hour. Brad Hall, the fastest, on 39.4 miles an hour at that stage. Think about that, 40 miles an hour just from running and pushing the sled.
Pretty good exit of 4. Watch the back end here coming up right in this shot here.
Whoa. Skiddy and really skiddy.
And then he goes really high the first part of the Kreisel. 101.5 will give him a chance here at the bottom.
Doesn't have as much control on the back of the sled as he'd like. It's again skidding off the turns.
Second best speed, he's still got the lead. He's got a lot of time here. 700s, he doesn't have a lot of time anymore. Should be enough, though.
Will he be in front of Rico Peter? Tied! Exactly the same time as Cody Basque, 500 slower than Rico Peter.
Look at this, look at this, look at this.
Now, that's not the first time a British sled has ended way up the outrun. We talked about not braking that hard, but that might have been over-feathering it. Look
at the snow.
Deep
that snow accumulation is from this morning. So this is, well, listen, this means there's more of a delay up top.
Yep.
So this might be a trick of the train.
No, I don't think so.
This was not.
Yikes.
This was costly. That definitely took away 1000. Look how high he got there in the take-on. And then, of course, this here, there's better ways of stopping the sled.
Is that Ben Simon sitting up there, just getting it all in the face? Well, there's Lamin Dean, Grenadier Guardsman. Did he lose his helmet?
I think he might have thrown it. I don't know.
Well, I don't think they'll have scratched the runners up, but tossing the helmet that far down the track's not going to do it any good. So a little delay then for last year's bronze medalist, Benny Meyer of Austria.
Look at the timer there on the left of our screen. He's got the stopwatch. They're trying to run this as quickly as they can.
Just waiting for the message at the bottom that the track is clear. So you can't have one sled being pulled down from the outrun while another one's on its way.
5:05.
That's a great start. What a start.
63.4. That's the equals Brad Hall's starting velocity, and Benny Meyer, who got a 3rd place in this event last year, driving the sled that won the World Championships in Königssee last year.
Where are we going next week, John?
Innsbruck.
Boy, he's going to be a threat with starts like that.
Yeah,
and with this,
he never had this. So look at that clean
3,307.
Wow. Speed, if we get the speed clock, 101.8 or so would be probably what he's going to get. We're not seeing that with the center screen.
Benny
Meyer, he's got the best speeds, easy.
Benny Meyer was 100th in front of Lamindine in the first
Now
heat.
he's 3/10. This is a huge run.
This is
for
massive.
Benny Meyer.
Could this
in the
put him in the
snow,
medals?
54.89. He's only 1,200 slower than his first run. That's his father, Manfred, on the right. This kid's coming on, and he's got this equipment underneath him, the former World Championship sled.
He was 3,600 out of the medals from the first heat. That's a pretty good shout to try and get back in there.
Boy, but the Austrians have done a great job with their start times.
Where was that run in the first heat, though?
Yeah, in and down. You know, the choreography on ice. You think this easy running in the snowstorm like that and then getting in that little bathtub cylinder?
And don't forget, he started 22, so he was in the snow in the first heat, so that would have taken away a couple of tenths.
Yeah.
Okay, next up, Oskars Kībermanis of Latvia. 7th after the first heat, off the 12th fastest start. And like his teammate Oskars Melbardis, starts on the front handle.
5:12, first run. Good efficiency, 5:11. So 63.3, 63.4, 63.3.
But as he sits down, he's in the red behind Benny Meyer, outstarted by the Austrians, and now he's got to outdrive him. He only had 400s in hand.
But that's a pretty good sign, only to be 300s down at that point. So I think he might have stopped the bleeding there. And the back end of the sled as we enter Kreisel, the picture coming up right here, that's pretty good. Only 4 now. But boy, Meyer was flying on the bottom part of the track.
Yep. Kībermanis is the match, though. He's only a few hundreds behind, as you say, 300 or 400s. Now, does the gap remain
speed,
constant?
Though. Doesn't have the same speed as Meyer. 400s.
Still 400s. He needs to find a shortcut here or roll it off the corner for pace. And he's tied again. Well, Benny Meyer doesn't lose the lead. And Oskars Kībermanis doesn't take it, but he joins them.
He's only 80%.
Yeah. So we now have a tie for first and a tie for third.
Look at the Latvian fans who are every place. And Kībermanis is 80%. He usually has a top 2 or 3 start time. This is the decathlete out of Riga 4 years ago, never was in a bobsled. Now they've accelerated him to a spot, and look at these lines. The snow lines, that's up top curve, 5, 6, but that set him up good. This is down at 9 through the drift between 9 and 10. Those were good lines because he was 400s down going to that last curve.
Yeah, decent run from Oskars Kībermanis. A tie for the lead, a tie for third. Next up is the 6th fastest starter in the first heat, or the 6th fastest run from Alexander Kazyanov, last time's race winner.
And Whistler, 5:13, 200 slower, 63.1 or so, 63.4. That was not a very good start, but a better velocity, meaning his team. Good power steps, good clean entry into the sleds. And the velocity, with this guy, the way he drives that 100th, bottom part of the track, I think the favor goes to Kazanov here.
He could have a 3-way tie for the lead. He's losing a little bit of ground. Back of the sled, a little skiddy there from 5 to 6.
Did it in Whistler last week. He did yesterday. 101.4 is excellent.
Little rocky
yesterday
there.
He was in second.
Tied for the lead.
And after the first run of the 2-man with unbelievable driving, suspect starts.
Look at this, 600s behind though. Can he come back in the final
Can't do
corner?
that. Can't do it.
No, 700s back. So he slips into third place.
Well, he got beat at the start there by 800s by the Austrians, 200s by the Latvians. He won a couple weeks ago out in Whistler, which is probably his favorite track on the tour. And this is down at the high-speed part of the track. Pretty good aerodynamic profile. Watch the brakeman pop up here with the sled wavering at 80 miles an hour.
Not bad, though. Didn't have a big hit. Kept some speed on board. That's why he's in third place behind our tied leaders. Oscars Kiebermanis and Benny Meyer of Austria lead with 5 sleds to go here in Winterberg. And the first of those is Canada's Justin Cripps. 23 hundredths off the lead, 8 hundredths of a second out of the medals as we race in a snowstorm.
Boy, that squall just came in. Look at that flag. It wasn't like that the last sled. 5:06, awesome start. Let's see if the velocity's there. 63.7, best velocity of the heat. But Cripps lost a lot of time in the first run on the bottom part of the track. 5:02 start he had in the first run. Best start in the competition. Ooh, look at him steer around that curve.
All the Canadians were in the top 5 in the 2-man. Cripps and Chris Spring in the top 5 in the 4-man after one heat.
1900s is a lot of time. I don't see him giving that back.
Sled's looking a little skiddy in these snowy conditions.
Did. It's equal. Wow. No, he's back in front.
They have had speed at the bottom of the track. And he's going to need it. Nice, smooth run through the labyrinth. Here we go.
It's got to be enough. It's got to be enough.
He'll take the lead with 4 to go.
1400s.
54.93. That's a good run to open up 1400s. He was a 10th in front of Kazyanov from the first heat. And he was only 800s out of the medals. This is going to be very tight between our top half dozen.
Well, they're all talking about, hey, watch the runners, watch the runners.
Cam Stone's Josh Kirkpatrick helping with the sleds.
This is into the Kreisel, into the snow drift. Look at the way the snow comes. Not
So
too many
much
bobsled
snow
races
now.
where you see that type of a drift. There's an inch of snow on the track down there between 6 and 7. It's a winter sport, though.
Justin Cripps, the race leader. Next up is his teammate Chris Spring. Spring 300s out of the medals after the first heat. And Spring having what a season he's having in 2-man and 4-man. Bronze medalist in 4-man in Park City. Winner in 2-man as well this year.
See what he can do. 5:09, pretty similar to their first run. That's great. Cripps was 400 slower, even though he had a faster time. 63.7, it's excellent start velocity. And Springer was really fast on the top of the track. Lost a little bit back on the bottom, though, in the first run. Tap there. His teammate went right through there cleanly.
Silver medal yesterday in the 2-man competition, so this track holds no worries for him at all. Knows where he's going.
101 and change. If we get a clock here, there's
A little
101
slide.
flat.
Little
Cripps was
skids.
much better
Yeah.
at that speed part. Ooh, he's
the
high
sled.
there, late there, watch out. Late here, and he gets away with it. 400s
Drifting
down.
all over the place, and the time has gone away. He'll be in second spot at the line.
6th best time of the run, only drops 1 spot.
And still, potentially, with a shot at a medal, because there's no guarantee that the top 3 will all hold on. Again, the Canadians in the top 5. Cripps and Spring are both having a really good start to the season.
Okay, this is where it started to go away from him. Look at that skid. Ooh, boy. It's tough to get these 4-mans in trouble, but when they get in trouble, they go where they want to go. 2-man is a sports car. You can sort of steer yourself out of trouble. 4-man, it has a mind of its own.
3 to go. Francesco Friedrich first. Our winner here in 4-man 2 years ago. World champion in 2-man here 3 years ago. And he is 1500ths off the lead. It's a German 1-2-3 after the first heat.
Had some real issues coming around curve 1. Real drift, cost him a lot of time. Let's see how cleanly he can get out of this curve 0, I call it. And he does the same thing. The same exact line. That was, if we put those 2 pictures side by side, they'd look exactly the same. And that's why he's in 3rd and not challenging for the top spot.
600ths ahead of Justin Cripps. Canada 1-2.
Watch the back end of the sled. This is the entry into Kreisel. That's pretty good. 700s up.
a little bit more control than we saw from Chris Spring, so he holds his advantage over Justin Cripps. It was...
Well, 101.8's one of the better speeds in this heat since the snow has come in. Bottom part of the track. This looks like he's going to be the leader. Now the question is, this could be good enough to move up.
Well, it puts himself into the medals for certain. He takes the lead.
54.85, 3,400 slower. You don't think there's not a race within a race amongst the Germans. I mean, it's 1, 2, 3. But let me tell you something. There's a little animosity between some of these German teams, and it's all about results.
Friedrich, silver yesterday in the two-man race. Currently lying 8th in the World Cup standings in four-man, has not had a medal this year.
2 exact trips out of that curve 0. I call it the Hassel curve. You want to see why I call it the Hassel curve? Those 2 pictures from him in both runs.
Well, yesterday it was Francesco Friedrich's first medal of the year. Last year, he won the first 5 races in two-man and four-man. Next up is Nico Walter, silver last year, bronze the year before, silver in the World Championships here in four-man racing with the FES sled. His 2 teammates have both got Valner equipment. And
look how quickly they went.
Yeah. Oh, and it looks like a little less snow, maybe a little less wind. No, look at that Latvian flag. It's still blowing a gale at the top.
5:14, he got really outstarted, but he had a better exit of curve 0 than his teammate, and the 63.7 is excellent velocity.
400s behind, he was 300s ahead of Friedrich in the first heat.
Only 100 down there is a good sign for Nico Walter. He's the only guy that has won a 2- and a 4-man event this year. Won the 2-man event in Lake Placid. Ooh,
little
rough
rocky
transition, 5.6.
Come on, Nico, hold it together.
101.8 would be the magic speed down here in the entrance to 9.
Still with the lead.
101.9 is even better.
Fastest of all speeds, nobody quicker. 63.3 miles an hour, accelerating hard.
This guy lost the World Championships here 2 years ago as a rookie by 200ths of a second.
He's
on this track, he's going to be leader by 10.
Skids out of the final corner, but he still leads. Is that enough to claim victory in Winterberg?
Oh, they got some issues. Look at it. The first guy out of the sled is 6'7" tall.
Marco Hubenbecker, welcome back. Nico Walter has the lead with
now,
1 to go.
Is this a trick of the trade? Come up farther, delay for the next guy coming down. I used to see this happen in my day.
They're saying, come on,
I
get
saw
the
this
sled out of
happen
the
in
way.
my father's day. That delays doesn't matter, 30 seconds, 40 seconds, snow accumulation of the track, dealing with hundreds of seconds. Tricks of the trade. And here in the finish, boy, look how flat he was.
Yeah.
That was weird. We haven't seen a sled do that. You could have seen him roll the other way.
Yep. No, he hauled it off there, didn't he? Well, they're gingerly making their way down to the finish.
Look how quickly they're going to come off here. Look at this.
Here's your race leader, joint world champion in four-man last year on his home track in Königssee.
Had a disastrous 2-man event where he hit the wall before curve 0 here, both runs. This time 5:06, 63.9. No one has had that velocity in this heat or the previous heat. This young athlete from Berchtesgaden, whose uncle Rudy won a silver medal at the 1992 Albertville Winter Olympic Games.
Man who won on this track last year in four-man was Johannes Lochner.
Huge lead.
He beat Nico Walter into silver. At the moment, he is beating Nico Walter into silver again.
Boy, vengeance he's taking out in the field after what happened to him yesterday.
Well, he was really struggling with the Valner sled in North America, but now he's a little bit more where he needs to be.
This is the winner.
He's going to win gold for the first time this year, the second straight race win in Winterberg for Johannes Lochner from Bavaria. 54.67 slide, that's comfortably the quickest that we've seen. And Johannes Lochner doubles up, wins last year, wins this year. There's plenty of Bavarian support down there as well. Yeah, it was a tough 3 weeks in North America.
He's the World Cup leader entering the event. Needless to say, he'll be the World Cup leader coming out of here.
He won in Park City, 4th and 5th in the first race in Park City and the third race in Whistler, but it was a bit of a patchy time. Not as bad as Francesco Friedrich had.
Boy, yesterday, though, he hit the wall before that curve zero, both runs. Finished well off the medals. And the night before, we had seen him having some steaks with us down there at the Irish pub, and people were a little critical of that. Well, I think he answered the critics today.
Yeah, relaxing before the race doesn't affect your driving in the race, other than positively, and I think that's exactly why the entire British team were out last night.
Great start.
Steak dinner as well.
Great start. Great. The velocity was unbelievable. To come down with the pressure on you like that, to deliver the best velocity, and then the great drive down the track. No doubt this Johannes Lochner, who we thought was a two-man specialist, is starting to emerge also as a four-man guy.
He and Francesco Friedrich tied for the World Championship in Königssee last year. So that was always going to be part of the deal. Lochner wins from Walter and Friedrich as they were in the first heat. Cripps gets ahead of teammates Spring. Kiebermanis in sixth, ahead of fifth, tied with Spring and Benny Meyer. And then Alexander Kazyanov in eighth place, the winner of the last race. And that's how the remainder of the top 20 finished up. So another entertaining race. Despite the wind and the snow, we have had edge-of-the-seat racing all the way through this weekend in Winterberg. And you can see what the weather is doing still. It's pretty much what it's done almost all day, almost every day. Although in training, actually, it was relatively clear. It only started snowing for the race weekend. It snowed all the way through Friday for the skeleton races, all the way through Saturday for the women and the two-man. And we had a clear start to the four-man race, but from about halfway through the field all the way down, snowing away. Getting the close out of the down bag. A big smile from Hansi Lochner, his second win of the season. First man to claim a second victory in the four-man. Well, we had three different winners coming in here, as we'd had in the two-man race. And then in two-man, we had a fourth different winner and a first-time winner with Clemens Brascher of Switzerland. Not a first-time winner, but a second win even of the season for Hansi Lochner. And Lochner, also the race winner in Altenburg, Winterberg and Königssee last year. Nico Walter saying that the second run was a little better. Start was really good. And in fact, second place, 2300s back and a 10th ahead of fellow Altenburg slider Francesco Friedrich. He'll be relatively happy with that. These guys all understand you can't win them all, no matter how hard you try. It just doesn't always happen. It's the weather, it's the kit, it's the track, it's the start, it's everything. Some drivers just gel more with some tracks than they do with others. It's not necessarily their home track. That's the one either. Well, like rally fans, bobsleigh fans are a pretty hardy breed, braving all sorts of filthy weather this weekend to watch some absolutely fantastic action. Winterberg in Germany living up to its name. Race 4 of the BMW IBSF four-man World Cup. And Johannes Lochner, with his second win of the season, extends his lead at the top of the points from Nico Walter and Justin Cripps. Lamin Dean still in fourth, ahead of Chris Spring, who closes with a fifth place finish here. Cody Basque in the top half dozen in four-man. But it's Hansi Lochner who's the first man to win 2 races in the season. He won 3 World Cup races and the World Championship last year in four-man, with a bronze medal in Whistler to go with it. He's already 2 races in, and we're only 4 races into the season. We haven't got yet to his home track in Königssee. We haven't got to Altenburg either. Both of those come up after Christmas. It was a good start, and it was a really top-draw drive from Johannes Lochner. He had 1200s in hand after the first heat, and he found a similar advantage in the second heat over Nico Walter. To almost double his advantage to 2300ths of a second. Clean run, no mistakes. And the second win of the season. So a German sweep of the podium. Well, didn't quite happen last year. Benny Meyer took the bronze medal. The year before, though, it was Friedrich, Arndt and Walter. And in the Worlds, Arndt, Walter and Oskars Melbardis. So Francesco Friedrich and his team in third place. And Friedrich, that's his first four-man medal of the season. Nico Walter in the silver medal spot. Friedrich also got his first two-man medal of the season yesterday in North America. Not one podium finish for Francesco Friedrich. Nico Walter, meanwhile, two-man winner in Lake Placid, the season opener. And Nico Walter also won the season opener in four-man in Park City. It was a double two-man weekend in Placid, double four-man weekend in Park City. So Nico Walter, so far, still the only man to win in 2 and 4. And there is the big Veltins beer. Now Hannes Lochner can have a bit of a swig. Joshua Bloom beside him, returning to the team. Christopher Weber, Christian Rasp enjoying the beer. Our head coach René Spies will be happy with the way that worked. Lochner, Walter, Friedrich, first German track, first German sweep of the podium. A week from now, we head to Innsbruck in Austria, where we expect to see another really close race. Thank you for joining us this weekend in Winterberg. Despite the weather, we got some exceptional racing. On behalf of John Morgan, the IBSF TV crew, I'm Martin Haven saying thanks for being with us. We'll be back next weekend in Innsbruck in Austria for the pre-Christmas Fiesta entertainment. Join us then. Bye for now.